Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new season of the Christian Emotional Recovery YouTube channel. I know it's been a while. Thank you for bearing with me. And we are back, and there will be several YouTube videos put out this year. I can't put them out every week, and I can't always put them out every other week, but for a good portion of the year, I do like to put out a YouTube video about every week. I'm Rachel Leroy. I'm your host. I'm also the host of Christian Emotional Recovery, the podcast. If you haven't checked out the podcast, it's also on the YouTube channel. Go check it out on the YouTube podcast playlist on this channel, Christian Emotional Recovery, or you can go to the christianemotionalrecovery.com website and get the regular podcast there. Just a few quick updates and a few quick reminders. If you haven't, check out the Facebook group. That's Trauma Survivors Unite Christian Emotional Recovery. Trauma Survivors Unite Christian Emotional Recovery. Check out the other information for the platform, including an email list that you can join for updates. I will be trying to get those out more in the future, but you can also go to the store there and see what you can purchase, such as meditations. I'm trying to get some more out of those, having some issues, but trying to work that out. And that is at rachelleroy.com. That's RACHELLEROY.com. You can also see my writing courses there if you're interested in learning about writing. And also, if you are a non-English speaker, I do tutor people in conversational English and idiomatic expressions in American culture, just in case you're interested. Also, if you'd like to support the podcast, you can go to Patreon. All of these links are in the show notes, so check out the show notes or the extra information that you can get about the episode. And that's at Patreon, and you can make a monthly donation of anywhere from $5 to $100. And any help that you can give allows me to do more of this, what I'm doing now, to help you, to help people like you and survivors of trauma, and to do God's work. Thank you so much if you are contributing. I greatly appreciate it. I have lost a couple of contributors, so if you would like to, if God's laying it on your heart, I would be greatly blessed and grateful for your help. Thank you so much, because it does take money to put into the YouTube channel and the podcast and to house all of that stuff and to keep all that information in one place and to have all the things to be able to make that. So thank you so much. God bless you. And also, there is a place you can contribute one time called Ko-Fi.com, also a reputable site. You can go to the show notes and check out that link as well. That's ko-fi.com. Thank you so much. So let's jump right in. I am doing this season, I'm going to try to do more voiceovers, because doing the recording, the face videos, it can be, for me at least, it's kind of difficult to make those. And so I'm going to do maybe like half voiceovers and half face videos where you see my face. I still want you to see my face. And so I will be putting those out in the next few weeks if you're just listening to this when it came out. This YouTube video is 9 recommended trauma healing platforms. 9 recommended trauma healing platforms. So I'm going to go through these, and I want to make a few disclaimers. One, please keep in mind that if you're watching this a couple of years later or a long time after this was recorded, I cannot guarantee that all these sites and all these courses will still be available. 2, things can change, and so I can't vouch for all of these websites and all of these organizations, but as of now, I can see that they're good sites that help a lot of people. 3, I've included some Christian and regular and non-Christian sites, so I've included a variety here, and you discern, you pray about it, and you ask God what you feel like you should or should not or cannot use. So if it's something that you don't want to use, don't use it. But a lot of these sites that I use are not necessarily Christian, but they've helped me so much to heal my trauma, which has also helped me to have more faith. And so I'm just going to share them with you, and you can decide for yourself and let God lay on your heart and give you the grace to know what sites to use and what sites not to. Also, some of these have courses that are quite expensive, and I know you're not made of money, many of you. I know I'm not. And I have taken some of these courses, but I have not taken all of them, and some of them the price has gone up, so that's another thing to keep in mind. Some of these I can vouch for the reputation of the site because I know the people that run them, and in other cases, I've been on the sites enough, and I've seen them in other places, and in other cases, I've actually taken the courses from the sites. So those are some things to keep in mind as we go through this. So 9 recommended trauma healing platforms. Most of them have courses, but not all of them. And the courses are really what I want to focus on for this particular YouTube video. So there is one. The first one I want to show you is, and I'm not going to scroll much through here because there's something wrong with my recording software where it bunches up and it makes it look funny. So I may have to just do screenshots and just flash them on the screen. So if it doesn't scroll, I apologize. I don't know what's wrong with my recording software. But the first one that I want to recommend is MountainCityChristianCounseling.com, MountainCityChristianCounseling.com. And this is run by someone named Megan Owen Cox. And Megan is a friend of mine. She is a wonderful human being with a heart of gold. And she's a pastoral counselor, and she's a survivor of domestic abuse. And she started an organization to help women in situations that were abusive, to help them to be able to get back on their feet. And it's very Christian oriented. She is a Christian counselor, and she has a program called A.C.O.R.N. She has a program called A.C.O.R.N. So her program is right here. You'll see there's a wait list, courses, and it's called A.C.O.R.N. And that's an acronym. And there, you'll see if it's available. Right now it says the next one's in August, but if you're watching this later, they may or may not still have this. But this is one that I would recommend, and it's for CPTSD and abuse survivors. CPTSD and abuse survivors, and it's called A.C.O.R.N. And it's several modules, and a lot of these are famous Christian teachers and ministers and people that are trained in trauma healing. And this one focuses specifically on complex trauma, which those of us who have experienced high ACEs scores and those of us who have childhood emotional neglect and childhood narcissistic abuse, more of us than not have complex trauma instead of just regular trauma. But this course includes modules with Natalie Hoffman, Andrew Bauman, Helen Knowlton, Heather Elizabeth, Sue Mocker, Victoria Petro, Sarah Cox, and Karen De-Armand Gardner. So you may have heard of some of these people if you follow a lot of trauma, podcasters and creators and content creators and Facebook group people. And some of these are actually ministers. And I follow a few of them as well. So I can vouch for the fact that these people are well known and reputable. And you can get different options for the course, 3 options. But this is one I recommend. There is also a podcast, and there is a blog on this site. And this one, I believe, is run by Megan Owen Cox, and she's great. So I encourage you to check out Mountain City Christian Counseling. And if you want to find the source, go to courses. Go to courses, and you'll find that. So that's the first one. You may hear some raining in the background. It's raining. But the next one that I wanted to show you, this one isn't necessarily a Christian site. It's kind of neutral. And this is a guy named Roland Bell. And I don't even remember where I came across his work, honestly. I think I probably saw his page on Facebook or something. He's kind of low profile. He's not... he's not everywhere, but I have bought some of his stuff and it's been very helpful for me. And this one, I'm in the courses of his site. It's rolandbal.com, ROLANDBAL.com. And if you go to About, you can learn about him and his background. And then if you go to the courses, like I said, I don't want to scroll too much here because my computer messes it up. But if you go to the courses, you'll see Resolving Complex Trauma and PTSD. And you can, this website has articles. I think you have to pay for the articles, but it's like a small monthly fee. And then if you go to the courses, it's Resolving Complex Trauma and PTSD. It'll show all of the courses that he has. And I have taken the trauma care package, and that has a set of meditations And that one has helped me a lot. I still use those meditations. I use them every week. I try to meditate every day, and I'll use one of his meditations every a few times a week. So it's been very helpful for me. He has a course on sleep and insomnia. He has a course on healing narcissistic abuse. And now I can't guarantee this is a good course, but it probably is because his meditations and his books are good. And so the trauma care package, though, the trauma meditations, those have been very helpful to me. And it also includes a few ebooks that can help you with healing trauma as well. So that's another one I recommend, rolandbal.com, ROLANDBAL.com. I don't want to spend too much time on any one of these, but I just wanted to introduce you to it. This one has good meditations. It's got a trauma healing course, and it's got an insomnia course that are helpful. And he has some ebooks that you get included in some of those packages. So the trauma care audio guided meditations are 12 audio guided meditations with somatic exercises that help you gradually reconnect with the body. And Roland is so good at his intuition about how the body and trauma interact and how trauma actually comes out of the body, out of your neural network. You know how I always tell you, if you're going to heal trauma, you've got to do it at its roots. You've got to do it somatically in the body, at the source, in your neural network. Well, he shows you how to push it up through and out your neural network. So this is a very powerful and effective course for you to take. It's actually a set of meditations more than what you might call a course. So that's Roland Bowles' site. Now, the third one that I wanted to show you, those are his courses. The third one I wanted to show you is the Healing Trauma Program. Now, this one is pricey. It's at SoundsTrue.com, and if you go to the online courses, it'll be there. Now, this Sounds True is more of a Buddhist-based site, and I know some people may not be into that, may not like that, may not want to do that, and that is fine. That is entirely your choice. I've told you before that I do get some help from other traditions. I am a Christian, but I do believe that the wisdom of other traditions can offer us help. And some of the things on this site, they're not all based on that. A lot of them are more general. And so there's a lot of really useful and good programs and books and audios on this site. And I have a whole library of their resources. Now, I did the Healing Trauma Program 2 years ago. It was the first year that it came out. And it's a 9-month intensive training to regulate your nervous system, embody safety, and become a healing presence. And this course is absolutely wonderful. Now, it does include some stuff that is a little more politically based. So if you're not into that, or if you're more conservative, this might not be something that you would feel comfortable with. But if you have an open mind and if you want to learn about different parts of traumatic and somatic healing, this is a great course for you, okay? So you don't have to have a certain set of beliefs in order to take this course. I think you can benefit from it. Like I said, I try to be open-minded, but I also try to be discerning at the same time, if that makes sense. And what I disagree with, I just don't, I just push that to the side, and I use the stuff that can work for me. But this course was very helpful. It was very powerful. It was very healing. It was run by Dr. Jeffrey Rutstein, and he is wonderful. He's so compassionate. He's so patient. He's so kind. And he is one of the most trained and experienced people in trauma healing therapy I've ever seen. He's worked with thousands of patients, and he's wonderful. But they have different people that come on each week or each month to talk, and you have sessions, and you'll have sessions with Jeffrey, and then you'll have a session with another teacher or healer, and you got the top people in trauma healing facilitate this course. People like Peter Levine and Dana, I forgot her last name, Deb Dana, and just Judith Blackstone, and people that like Vanderkolk, the one that did the book on healing trauma, the main one that I'm always recommending. So there are some amazing people, and it's also a diverse group of people, which is good. Men, women, people of different backgrounds. And so this one really was powerful for me. I'm not going to go into all of the details, but this is the Healing Trauma Program. It starts up at the beginning of each year, somewhere around the beginning of the year. So if it's early in the year, you may have to catch it on the next the next train that comes through, so to speak. And this one is expensive, and the reason I was able to afford it is because it was about half the price, and they'll actually let you apply for a scholarship. And I told them about my podcast, and I honestly didn't think that I would get accepted into the scholarship program, but I did. So I ended up paying like a quarter of this price, or half this price. It was not as much as this, but if you're able to pay for something like this, it is immersive, it's extensive, and you get a lot of stuff, and you can go back to it and listen to it as much as you want later on. And then every year after that, you can take the healing trauma program again, the new one that comes up, and you can do it for like $500. So you get like a major steep discount. If you've already done it, you can keep redoing the new one each year, which is a great plus. So that's the healing trauma program with Sounds True, and it's really somatically based in the body. And so there's sort of a spiritual aspect, and there's a physical aspect, and there's a psychological aspect, but this one is very research based. And so I just wanted to let you know about this one as well. And then the next one that I wanted to show you was also on Sounds True, and I took this course years ago, and this one is by Peter Levine. I adore Peter Levine. He's an absolute sweetheart, and he's a great teacher. He is one of the foremost people that has taught about trauma. He was teaching about it before very many other people were, and he does somatic experiencing, and that's actually a trademarked term. That's his baby, and this is some of the somatic experiencing that he does. This healing trauma course is kind of the overview of his healing trauma wisdom, and it's a step-by-step program for restoring the wisdom of the body. And basically what it does is it helps guide you if you want a place to start on how do I do body healing? How do I do somatic healing from trauma? This is a good place to start. It's affordable. It's not that expensive. I've taken this. I've gone through it 2 or 3 times. It's very helpful. There's a combination of audios and videos, several hours of videos. You can do it at your own pace. So this one is not launched at a certain time. You can do it whenever you want. And Roland Bowles is the same way. You can do his courses or his meditations whenever you want. They're not at a certain time. Source and the trauma healing program with Sounds True, the more general one, those are time-based. So keep in mind, you would think about your schedule, but this one is better for somebody on a budget, and it's definitely worth the money. And if you look, you can sometimes get discounts, and they'll have sales. So if you want, you can look for a sale, or you might even reach out to them and ask them, hey, are you going to have a discount or a sale on this? And if they do, they'll tell you. Okay, so this one is comprehensive, and this was the first one that really helped me to understand specific strategies. Like, you can just lay there and think about your trauma and think about what happened to you and heal and show yourself compassion and have open awareness of that. But it's a different thing to know exactly how to go through the steps so you don't cause more trauma to yourself. And Peter Levine is extensively trained. He's an older gentleman. He's a wonderful teacher. He's very compassionate, and he knows what he's doing. He gets down into the nitty-gritty of the physiological, somatic, neurological, psychological, spiritual, and emotional aspects of it. He's not overly technical, but he explains things very well, and he talks to you on a human level. He's very smart, but he does not talk down. He's very down to earth. So I recommend the Healing Trauma Online course, and that's at Sounds True. And I don't know if you can get it for $42 because I have a whole library of their stuff and I get discounts, but hopefully you can get it at this price, and if not, it's not too bad. They also have a Sounds True 1 program, and the price of that's not bad, and they'll have like a teacher that comes in once a month, and that's not just trauma based, that's also spiritually based. I personally didn't like how it was set up, but it's been very helpful for a lot of people, and a lot of people love that program too. That's, like I said, more spiritually based and not as much trauma based, but there is stuff on trauma in there, and there's a whole library of stuff you can access to. So that could be worth your time if that's something you're into. So the next one is NateWrites.com. NateWrites.com. And forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this name, but there is a guy on Facebook. You may have seen him if you follow a lot of trauma healing channels. And one thing I can tell you about Nate is that he is one of the most compassionate, gentle human beings I have ever met. He is a survivor of abuse, and he knows what it's like to face being ostracized in society. He knows what it's like to be treated with indignity and unkindness, and he's a trauma survivor himself working through this, and like me, he's created his own channel to help people heal. He has a blog, and it's on Facebook. It's Nate Postlethwaite. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not even sure how to spell it, but it's natewrites.com and Nate Postlethwaite, Postlethwaite or something like that. But he has a great Facebook page. So I would encourage you to, if you're not sure about his community, follow his Facebook page first. But I am actually a member of this community. I can't afford to do a lot of memberships because they're expensive. And this one, he opens it up 2 or 3 times a year, and it's an online community, and he'll do a live stream twice a month. He does a talk, and he'll have slides, and you can get the slides anytime you want. You can go back and watch the old videos that he's done in the past. So there's a whole library in there as well. It's not extensive, but there is a library. And he also has like memes, and he has a community, and there's also, he does like once or twice a week where you have like a writing session where it's like writing by candlelight, and he has journal prompts. He gives you a new journal prompt like every week or something. So you have like community, journal prompts, memes, and webinars. And so there's community there, and you can either do it asynchronously or you can go in when they're actually having the sessions. And his work, just the way he presents things, is so compassionate and so validating and so healing and so powerful. That's all I can do to explain it. But you can watch the testimonials. And like I said, I'm not getting any money from any of this for anybody. I'm just telling you what has worked for me or what I found that seems like it would be helpful. And I'm trying to be transparent about my experience with it. So this one, the community membership, includes all of these things, and it's not religiously based. It's pretty neutral. He doesn't get into any like weird woo-woo stuff, not so much. And the cost, he's got a course called Accessing Healing the Younger You. So there's a course in there, Healing the Younger You, and it is chock full. It's short, but it's so dense. Like, it's chock full of great information. And then what I love about him is that there's an honor system, a regular rate of $59 a month. And if you're like me and you're on a limited budget, you can do the sliding scale of $19. But if you're blessed, think about doing the $59, because that money helps other people to be able to afford the $19, because you're helping Nate out, and Nate is helping so many people heal their trauma. And so if it's not open now, you could join the wait list, but that's the cost now. I can't vouch for it 2 or 3 years from now, or whether it'll be here or not, but this is a wonderful program, and I'm not even sure what the program is called, but it's on natewrites.com, and it's on the online community. So you would just go to natewrites.com and go to the online community and scroll down, and you'll find the program, and you can join the wait list if necessary. Okay? Like I said, I don't want to scroll through here a lot. The next one is the National Institute for Clinical Application of Behavioral Medicine. That's a mouthful, right? So I'm trying to give this to you from different angles and from different experiences. I personally have been thinking about becoming a trauma healing coach, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to pay for that, but I've been taking some courses that are not certifications, but they're more on the other end, and they're for professionals that work with trauma survivors. And a lot of trauma survivors will take these courses because you can still learn from them and they're still beneficial, but they get more detailed and more technical. So keep that in mind. This is, for short, it's NICABM. And like I said, I've taken a couple of their courses, and I follow their email list, and I follow their Facebook and all that. And so this one is practical skills for working with different types of traumas and emotions. And so I just wanted you to sort of see examples of the types of courses that they offer. And So if this is for therapists mainly and coaches, but here are some of the people that they have. Stephen Porges, he's well known, and he does the polyvagal theory. I've read one of his books. It's absolutely wonderful. Tara Brach, I have followed her. Her work is absolutely wonderful as well. She does the rain meditation, and that's where I got a lot of the ideas for my A.C.O.R.N meditation. I can't just take credit for that because a lot of my ideas come from her. Pat Ogden, Peter Levine, and Bessel van der Kolk, who wrote The Body Keeps the Score, that book I keep bringing up that everybody should read when they realize that they're a trauma survivor. So they have all kinds of courses on here, and I'm not going to go through this, but I just wanted you to get an idea of the types of work and the types of healing that they have. They have mind, body, brain, mindfulness, trauma. So these are psychologically based. These are scientific, psychologically based. There's nothing woo-woo about them. But so you've got all these trauma healing courses, and you can go to see more, and that'll take you through a lot of those trauma healing courses. So you can see what's out there and the price of them and all that. And I think their prices are not too bad, but you can go through that and see if that works for you. So that is the National Institute. That's the National Institute for the Clinical Application of Behavioral Medicine. Okay, so that's one based on professionals, but it's not just psychotherapists and psychologists and counselors and clinical social workers. There's also coaches and healers and light workers and pastors and other people like that who take these courses as well, and they can get credits for them, but some people just do it for enrichment for themselves, so you can learn about this stuff for yourself, and I've done that as well. So the next website that I want to show you, this one, I don't think they really have courses per se. Videos, diagnostic tools, resource materials. So this one doesn't really have courses, but this is a wonderful site. It's run by people who do not get paid, and it's complextrauma.org. Complextrauma.org, and it has all kinds of resources, recommended books, articles. They put out a lot of articles. That's really, I think, where a lot of their more helpful stuff is. But if you want to learn more about complex trauma or trauma in general, it gives you areas for treatments, resources, news. It tells you about them, home, core topics. So if you want to cut straight to the chase and do something specific here, such as what is complex trauma, the complexity of racial trauma, the nature of trauma. It talks about all of that. And the resources, the articles, it has a whole library of useful articles. So keep that in mind as well. And you can see that. You can download any of the articles, and a lot of that it's all about trauma, complex trauma, PTSD, and the impacts of that, and how to heal, and all of that. And if you look up articles on trauma, and you're just reading and studying and learning, you'll see this site a lot. And I've used this site a lot on the podcast as resources and as sources, because they're really good, and they're up the alley of what I do too. So complextrauma.org is another good site, complextrauma.org. So the next one is Eggshell Therapy and Coaching. This is one that I saw a couple of people recommend, and this one is more like for people that are wired in a unique way, highly sensitive, intense, neurodivergent, gifted adults. So that is their audience. And if you're a trauma survivor, chances are you might be highly sensitive or intense in some ways. So this is a good site for people that are HSPs. That's an actual term. It's not made up. It's research-based. About 20% of the population, or 30%, is more wired to be more sensitive. They're more aware of what's going on in terms of being sensitive to sounds and light, and being more emotional and being more intuitive. And I'm one of those people. And so there's just certain things I cannot deal with that other people, it doesn't seem to bother them at all. And that can actually contribute to trauma. And so this one sort of talks a little bit about the intersection of trauma and being highly sensitive. And this one has a lot of great tools. This website is extensive. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple, but don't be deceived. There's so much on it. Resources. It's got a podcast, books, letters, theories, people's stories, it just goes on and on. You can see all these different resources, and you don't have to, agree with everything on the site, but there's a lot of great stuff here. Childhood wounds, childhood trauma, narcissistic parent abuse, controlling parents, being sensitive, being an HSP, being bipolar. So there's a lot of misophonia. That's one that I've experienced. Certain kinds of sounds trigger certain people, and they can try all day to be calm and to have exposure therapy, and that can help some, but for some people that does not heal them. So if you are one of those people, you're not crazy. You might have misophonia, and that doesn't mean you can't work with what you have and try to improve it, but there's a lot here, though, that helps people know that there's nothing wrong with them, and that people are wired differently, and that there are ways to cope and find ways to deal with that. So eggshell therapy and coaching is a great one. They have coaching, they have therapy. I don't know much about them personally, but this website is very extensive, and it has a lot of great stuff, and I've heard a lot of people speak very highly of it. Okay, so the next one, two more, is the Embody Lab. The Embody Lab is basically somatic healing, and this one is kind of like the other one that I showed you with all the therapists and all the experts on there. So this one is more for people who are educating themselves about somatic healing, and somatic healing is in the body, thus the Embody Lab. And it's a hub for embodied education, self-discovery, and healing for global transformation. And on here you can find therapists, you can get certificates. That's why I said it's more for like people who are wanting to become certified, or as a therapist who is a trauma expert, or as a trauma healing coach. But they have a membership, and they have workshops and events. And so there's a lot of stuff, I think, that the general public or people that want to heal from trauma can learn from this. So, it's about somatic and trauma healing, making it accessible to more people, and people having access to support resources and education. And here are some of the teachers and some of the courses. Let's see. Workshops and events. They have all kinds of like certificates, but they'll also just have like single sessions and stuff, so you can just kind of learn about trauma therapy. But if you're interested in becoming certified, there are a lot of great programs on here. They're pretty comprehensive and expensive. I've never taken one, but I have gone to a couple of their workshops. So just to let you know, there are a lot of great resources on this site. And this is more for the expert end of things, but you might find something on here that's helpful. And then lastly, I wanted to include one more Christian-based one. This one, I've been to their site a few times. I'll be honest, I've never taken their courses. I don't follow them. I don't know much about them, but I keep seeing this site. And I've used them, I think, a couple of times for articles that I've used in my podcast. And this is the Christian Trauma Healing Network. And they have webinars, and they have, it's basically... Christian Trauma Healing Network equips people healers to provide Christ-centered care for sufferers of trauma. So you might find something on here for yourself, and if you're trying to learn more about this stuff and you want to help people, this might be a great site as well. There's an about page, they have a membership, they have a community, they have webinars and workshops, they have networking. Then they give you some resources, articles, toolkits, like a trauma care toolkit. So that might be something that's actually useful for you that you could use to help yourself, and that's free. And I think it's free. And then the webinars and workshops, well, the cost here is not bad at all, actually. This might be just a single webinar, though, but they'll have healing couples trauma, and there's probably other stuff on here, but this one might be a great one to follow if you're just wanting to learn more about trauma healing from a Christ-centered and Christian-based perspective. So that is the last one, and those are the 9 trauma healing platforms, and some of them have courses and some of them don't, but I wanted you to be aware of them. So let me just go through all of them again. One of them is Mountain City Christian Counseling, and it includes the Source course, the source course on healing complex trauma. That one's a Christian-based one run by Megan Owen Cox. RolandBal.com, RolandBal.com. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He's got a course on healing healing narcissistic abuse, and then he has his meditation set on trauma care, the trauma care package, and he's got some other courses. Here are his courses: narcissistic abuse, trauma care package, sleep and insomnia, and counseling. And then trauma care audio meditations, that's his. And moving to the next one, Sounds True, the Healing Trauma Program, a 9-month training to regulate your nervous system and body safety and become a healing presence. And that one goes on for 9 months, and it's very immersive. The Healing Trauma course by Peter Levine is more for somebody on a budget. It's something you can do on your own time, and it really walks you through how to do somatic healing in your body, and it shows you all kinds of techniques that will help you. Different types, so you can experiment and see what works for you. And then the Nate Wright's community. This one is really good. And this one, he's very compassionate, and there's a couple of webinars a month. He does journaling prompts, there's a community, and there are there's courses, and you can get the old videos from the previous recordings before you joined. And then the National Institute for the Clinical Application of Behavioral Medicine, there's all kinds of trauma care courses where you can learn about how to heal trauma. Even though it's from more a professional's perspective, I still think it could be very useful and helpful. And then complextrauma.org is a really great website that includes a lot of just free articles on complex trauma, in particular, complex trauma. And then the next one, Eggshell Therapy. This one focuses more on highly sensitive, intense, neurodivergent, gifted adults. And it also talks about trauma a lot here too. Childhood trauma, narcissistic abuse, fear of abandonment, black sheep of the family. So a lot of this is about childhood and so forth and so on. So this one could be useful for a lot of you that might fit into this area. And even if you don't, if you're a trauma survivor, a lot of these articles may be useful. Or if you're a parent of a child like this might be helpful. And then the Embody Lab includes somatic healing therapy courses and webinars. And that's the embodylab.com. And then Christian Trauma Healing Network has articles and seminars and things like that from a Christian perspective. So I hope that this video has been helpful. I know it's long. Thank you for following me. I hope that it's provided you with some tools and resources that will be helpful. Some of them are free, some of them cost a little bit, and some of them are expensive. Again, I cannot vouch for the fact that all of these are still here if you're watching this later. I can't vouch for the quality of all of these if something has changed, but from what I can tell at this time, these are all good programs, and you use your discernment based on what you need to do. Please keep in mind, if you'd like to contribute to the platform and you'd like to help me to help more people and just take a lot of the burden off of me, because it's sometimes hard, I'll be honest. I love what I do, but it gets to be difficult sometimes trying to find a way to pay for all of these different programs and things that I need to run the podcast. And so if you want to contribute just $5 or $10 a month, all the way up to $100, you can do that at Patreon, or you can make a one-time contribution at Ko-Fi.com. Check out the Facebook group, Christian Emotional Recovery. Check out the YouTube channel, which you're on now. Check out the podcast, which is also on this channel, and that's also at ChristianEmotionalRecovery.com. And check out RachelLeroy.com. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you. I will be putting out more podcast episodes soon, and have a great day.